What's up everybody, welcome to the video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today I am here with the 2025 Hyundai Tucson. This is the limited trim with the internal combustion engine, not the hybrid, and this one has all-wheel drive. Hyundai has sent me this Tucson to keep for an entire week so that I can give you guys the most thorough review possible, so big thank you to Hyundai. So as always, gonna start off with the ride quality. So we got struts up in the front, multi-link in the rear for the suspension, and the suspension feels a lot like the other Hyundai products I've had recently, particularly the Santa Cruz, which this vehicle shares a lot of the same underpinnings with. Manhole covers, uneven surfaces, bumps in the road, it eats it up real nicely, has nice cushion. And even though this is riding on 19-inch wheels, we do have a 55 series sidewall, which is a pretty thick sidewall. So that also provides some additional cushion for the ride. So with that extra cushion on the sidewall, there's a lot less vibration that comes in. But weirdly enough, there's a lot of road noise that comes in through the tires. Not so much out here on quiet roads, but out on the highway in a little bit, you'll see what I mean. But I would say that most of Hyundai's current SUVs have a pretty smooth ride, but this is the first one that I've had that had a 55 series sidewall, so I'm liking it. So in terms of quietness, the cabin is well insulated, but like I said before, you do get noise coming in down below from the tires. You don't really hear noise from other vehicles around you, and also wind noise coming in through the windows, which I have heard a bit of on other Hyundais I've driven recently. This one does really well with the wind noise, little to none. The two main sources of road noise that we do get in here are tires and also the engine, and that I'm going to talk about more also when we get out on the highway. Alright, next let's talk fuel economy. This is combined 26 miles per gallon, 24 city and 30 on the highway. Those numbers do seem pretty good for a compact SUV, but of course that's because the engine doesn't have a whole lot of power. This actually isn't even the best fuel economy you can get, because there's also a hybrid powertrain that gets even better fuel economy than this one. That system also makes more power, so spoiler alert, you might want to look into that one. Now you see right here, the screen just went black. It's been doing that while I've been driving it sometimes. So that's, I've never seen that before, but I mean, this is a review and I'm going to be honest here, that has been happening. That's maybe the third or fourth time that it's randomly just gone off for a few seconds and then come back on. Again. Also, I just noticed my head-up display is off too. So that's not good. So when the screen goes off, I have no idea how fast I'm going because the head-up display isn't on either. And now that leads me to the powertrain. So this is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Puts out 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque, and that is paired with an 8-speed automatic. This has Hyundai's H-Track all-wheel drive, and it can tow up to 2,000 pounds. Notably missing from this powertrain is a turbo. So I recently drove the Hyundai Santa Cruz Limited and the Hyundai Sonata N-Line. Both had turbocharged 2.5 liter 4-cylinders. Those were an absolute pleasure to drive, but this one is lacking the turbo, and it's certainly lacking that torque. 0 to 60 in this is rated at 8.8 seconds, which is not very good. And the different drive modes, let's see, there's 4. So we got normal, sport, my drive, which lets you customize some of the parameters, and snow. So for the acceleration test, we're going to put it in sport. The idle sits at a higher RPM in sport. This 8-speed automatic does have paddle shifters, but for the acceleration, I'm just going to keep it as is. Alright, going to come to a complete stop. No brake torque, we're just going to go. So not an incredibly exciting acceleration test. This car is not quick, it's just passable. The transmission, it shifts smoothly, it's fine, but the engine is just really underpowered. You don't feel any kind of torque kicking in whatsoever while you're accelerating, and overall it just feels like it's struggling. Alright, so now we're going to take this out on the highway, see how it does. Now I do still have it in sport. Alright, so while we're stuck here in stop and go traffic, I guess that's a good time to test out the adaptive cruise control. So all the controls are here on the left side. So first we're going to make sure lane keep assist is turned on. So you can see the little steering wheel icon pop up there and also on the head-up display. And then I hit this button here to set the speed. Now the distance is set at 4. That's a bit, we don't need it that much. So I'll put it down to 2. Alright, so now hands-free, no foot on the brake or the accelerator. We're doing good with this stop and go traffic. Okay, and every once in a while it's going to give you that message to keep your hands on the wheel. This little piece right here above the steering wheel basically watches your eyes to make sure that you are paying attention to the road. That combined with that message to keep your hands on the steering wheel. We're going to up the speed now because we're speeding up. Okay, had to hit the brake for him. I've had several Hyundai press cars in the last like 2 months or so, and they've all had really good adaptive cruise control systems, so I don't expect anything less here. It also does a good job at kind of keeping track of the lines where sometimes the lanes merge with each other or one separates. I've yet to encounter any kind of slip-ups with that. Up the speed again, and I think I'm going to reduce the distance to 1, because that's another thing. It seems to prioritize distance over speed, and I love how in the head-up display it still gives you the blind spot monitor warning instead of always having to look in the mirror. Now, as far as the acceleration and everything, I got my foot all the way to the floor. The torque just isn't there. The engine's also very loud, and it kind of just sounds like it's struggling. The engine revs really high, but there's just not a whole lot going on underneath the hood there. It's a very loud engine, just sounds a bit unrefined. I'd say the Tucson Limited Hybrid is a much better powertrain than the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Now, why they couldn't take the same engine that's in the Hyundai Santa Cruz, which is nearly identical to this car. It's basically a Tucson pickup truck that has the turbo 4-cylinder, and it's really nice powertrain. I'd understand, this engine in the lower trim levels, but in the Limited, I really wish they had the same turbo as the Santa Cruz. I got my foot all the way. You don't feel any kind of torque kicking in, any kind of push. Now this is in sport mode, and in sport mode it does hold the RPMs higher, so I'm going to put it into normal. So we saw the tachometer drop down there a little bit. It's less loud, but even slower. This 2025 Hyundai Tucson Limited has an 8-speaker Bose audio system, so let's take a listen. So if you've been watching my recent Hyundai reviews, you'll know that the Bose audio systems have been kind of hit or miss between the different models. And I hate to say it, but I think this might be the worst Bose audio system I've heard so far. Similar issues to the system in the Hyundai Santa Cruz. It lacks power, it sounds incredibly flat, and once you try to listen to bassier music at higher volumes, it just becomes super compressed, and you really still can't even hear the power out of the bass, yet somehow it compresses, and also it rattles the door panel quite a bit here on this left side. And overall, it just has kind of a hollowness to the sound, so not such a great audio system. I think it would pass for a bass audio system, but seeing that Bose name on a system that sounds like this is kind of shocking. I don't think 8 speakers is enough to call yourself a premium audio system, especially in an SUV. So now we are out here at the back roads to test out the steering and handling of the Tucson Limited. Now you can see here I actually have it in my drive, which I don't normally do, but I decided to try it out. So on my drive, you can customize the powertrain parameters, so you can have it in either normal, sport, or smart, and then steering, normal, and sport. So I have it in sport because sport typically gives you tighter steering, and this one's actually significantly tighter than it is in normal, which I love. I mean, in normal it's fine, but here on these back roads it just gives you a much better sense of control. Really nice. It's smooth, it's quick to respond. See how it does down here. Really nice. Now there's just ever so slightly a bit of body roll. What the f are we doing? So like I was saying, tiny bit of body roll. It is an SUV after all, and it's not an EV that has, a lot of extra weight low to the ground. So it's just ever so slightly top heavy. And the all-wheel drive system, while it isn't a torque vectoring all-wheel drive system, it still does a decent job at keeping it nice and planted. Let's see, I'm gonna put the steering back into normal. A lot looser now. It's got more travel. But in sport mode, it tightens up real nice. And brakes, no slipping even on the wet road, so no issues there. So the MSRP of this 2025 Hyundai Tucson Limited is $41,870. Big thank you to Hyundai for sending me the Tucson to keep for an entire week so that I can give you guys the most thorough review possible. So please let me know your thoughts on the Tucson down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend and subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Let me know down in the comments too what other vehicles you want to see on the channel next, and be sure to follow @Optical Automotive on TikTok and Instagram, and check out the page on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.